these, we have all this self-talk about ourselves, and then we have an emotional response, and then we go in a spiral, and then we forget about what we're actually feeling in our body. And when we remain in that neutral state, it's just a sensation. And it's like, oh, this isn't really that big of a deal. Like, what, I was in this pattern of reaction to feeling a sensation and then having a thought about the sensation, and then I get an emotional response, and then I'm in this, this whirlwind. But sensations, it's really when you just step and just stop and drop your story or whatever it is, your situation, and you just feel your body, and you just be with your body and feel it. It's never that as bad as we think it is.
Welcome to Conversation for the Soul. I'm Linda Christine, and today we talk with Avalina Maline. Avalina is such an amazing spirit. She has so much joy. She is so charismatic and uplifting to talk with. And we had a wonderful conversation. We touched on astral travel. We touched on her toning that she does. And she even gifted us a little bit of a meditation where we embodied the higher self. And it was so beautiful and so blissful and so wonderful to partake in this on today, which is the solstice. But no matter when you're watching this, that's going to be a wonderful meditation for you to walk through with her. So anyway, we're going to get to it. But before we do, please like, share, and subscribe. This is the way we get this information out there. And this is how we share all these wonderful people with other like-minded folks in the spiritual community. So if you could follow and share, I would so greatly appreciate it. So we'll get going now with Avalina.
Yeah.
Well, hello, Avalina. It is so wonderful to have you here. Thank you for joining us today on the solstice.
Yes, beautiful, beautiful day. And thank you so much for having me. I've been looking forward to this. This is a very transformational opportunity. I mean, all of the above day, right? Like anything goes. So it's a lot of potential for today. Absolutely. If you choose. Yeah,
absolutely. We were just talking before I started recording about the crazy energy. It's like I'm in this fog and I can go nap all day long and I just want to curl up in a cocoon. And when I have to go out into the real world, it's surreal.
Yes.
I mean, it's felt that way for a while now, but it's like whole nother level surreal.
Yeah.
What are you feeling and hearing some of the same things?
Yeah, and I'm all the same exact thing, and then also noticing the difference in the observation of time has been really strange. I'll have to say, where time sort of collapses, and there'll be all these things coming up, and all of a sudden you're finding yourself doing all these things that you didn't think you could do in such a short period of time, but somehow it opens up. And it's just moving so fast, and you're like, this isn't possible. How is all this, in the time frame between your intention of something and the manifestation of it accelerating? It's really just magical, and it's having a lot to do with the body, having a lot to do with being tired, sleep patterns changing, as we were talking before. So much energy coming in. I mean, I'm feeling a lot of surges through my body. That electromagnetic charge going up the spine, and it's just it's fascinating. It's very interesting times.
And I've noticed a lot of spirit activity, like actual
the veils
stuff
are so
going
thin
on
right now.
Yeah, like some mornings I get that 4 a.m. wake up call, like we were talking about, and I walk out and it's just like, okay, I know y'all are here. And I'll even turn my phone on sometimes and record, and I'll get all sorts of crazy stuff. And I'm like, wow, that is so wild.
Yeah. It's so fascinating how now everything is showing you something, just as you're something, like everything in your life is showing you something. Doesn't matter what you're doing or what you're engaging in, because your life is a reflection of the inner, right? So it's like, it's constantly mirroring back, and it's becoming more and more obvious. It's getting louder and louder. And that's exciting, right? Because then we get, more opportunity to transform and be the creator. So, it's, those veils are so thin that it's just, everything's becoming more obvious. Everything's becoming more clear. And it takes a lot of awareness, and then also a lot of energy from the body, because, as we bring in those energies into our cells, it's like, it's a lot to take in. It's not, what we're doing here in these physical vessels that we came in during this cycle is like, it's huge. We should really give ourselves some credit for everything that we've done, how far we've come and where we're going. So it's
oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
And the listening is so important, because I've now just resigned myself to honoring my body. When my body is like feeling this exhaustion that just wants to melt into the bed, I'm like, okay, put my work down, go in there, lay down, and integrate whatever's coming in. That's all you can do. And you can't sit there and beat yourself up over it.
No, you have to nurture yourself right now. And a lot of us, we never really, like, I certainly didn't grow up learning how to nurture myself. I didn't get a lot of nurturing. So it was challenging for me, earlier on, to learn how to nurture myself, to really give myself what I wanted, and take that time and for me, and just, allow yourself to have the comfort things that you want. Right.
Yeah. The self-love thing is a huge point for the collective. I've noticed this year. I did a self-love embodiment event earlier in the year, and these women that turned out, even a guy turned out for it. Awesome. And it was just like so many people in pain because they don't know how to do that. And bring that in.
And they don't know how, or they were never shown how to be with the pain, and be with that pain without the emotion, without the emotional drama. It's just like when you watch your pet or your animals, if they experience pain, there's no drama with it, right? Like, they don't have the emotional reaction that we do. So when you're able to be neutral and observe the physical sensations, like, that's when things move. And that can be challenging for a lot of people, to really step outside of the thoughts and the stories that we tell ourselves, and the labeling, because the mind wants to identify with it. And then, we tell all these, we have all this self-talk about ourselves, and then we have an emotional response, and then we go in a spiral, and then we forget about what we're actually feeling in our body. And when we remain in that neutral state, it's just a sensation. And it's like, oh, this isn't really that big of a deal. Like, what, I was in this pattern of reaction to feeling a sensation, and then having a thought about the sensation, and then I get an emotional response, and then I'm in this, this whirlwind. But sensations, it's really when you just step and just stop and drop your story or whatever it is, your situation, and you just feel your body, and you just be with your body and feel it. It's never that as bad as we think it is. It's actually quite simple. Because, like we're saying, it's a lot about the body, like, we're perfect as souls and before we came in, and we still are. It's just, we're trying to be those souls perfect in a physical vessel. How challenging. So it's really, you have to honor your body and what your response and what you're going through, because that's where it's at. That's where the movement is in the body right now.
And figuring out, this happened to me the other day. I was driving to a job, and I was so angry. And my husband called me because he's out of town, and I'm just like, ugh, I was still annoyed with him for absolutely no reason. And then I'm like,
what a gift.
God, I picked up some shit. Where did this come from? It's not mine. Nothing I did or no situation created that, but I was in that mood, and I'm like, oh, wow.
Because sometimes you're processing stuff for yourself or the collective, and honestly, it doesn't really matter, right? Because it's all the same. Whenever you're honoring something for yourself or working on yourself, you're actually doing it for everyone. So I love it when something drops in where I'm feeling a strong sensation. I'm like, wow, look at that. Like, there's still something there. I'm like, thank you for whatever just showed me that, because I know that when I dive into that and I accept that and I love that, and that it's I'm going to own it and feel it and honor whatever, acknowledge whatever thoughts. I know there's a gem on the other side of it. I know that, whatever I let go of or whatever I witness in that moment is going to cause my vibration going up, on the other side of it. So, I find it exciting when I get emotional about anything, whether it's positive or negative, because I'm like, oh, okay, let's look at that. Yeah.
And it's so beautiful because we are so conditioned or programmed or taught from birth not to feel.
Yeah. Yeah.
Put that away. Don't show
Shove it under the rug.
Keep
Don't
that
cry.
to yourself.
Don't cry. It's okay. Don't cry.
Yeah. And now it's like, oh, we got to deal with all of that now. Start unpacking it. And it's like, shit, I wish I would have done this years ago.
Yeah, right. It's like when we're children and we get punished for, acting out, or the drama, go take a nap, whatever it is, it's like, it's the opposite. It's the opposite. And I've always said, if you could boil down the whole spiritual journey to one word, it would be feel.
Yes.
Feel. Because that's, when you step into and you process your emotional body, that's like the first stage, right? Like that's like one of the foundational things of the spiritual journey. And from there, when you get, really familiar with how you feel, then that's when you really start to own your guidance. You know what feels right. You know what resonates with you. So it's really, it's a foundation for everything. It's like what everything else is built upon, is learning how to feel and be with what's occurring in your body.
Yeah.
Yeah. So simple. It can be so simple if you distill it down. We love to make things so complicated.
Yep. Oh, we do. Totally do. That might have to be my word for 2023. Every year a word comes in, and that one's been making itself in my field lately, making itself aware in my field. So I'm like, oh, maybe that's my word.
Yeah.
We'll
I love that. Yeah.
But
yeah.
I would love for folks to get to know you a little bit. You and I have talked before a little bit about how your awakening came to be. I would love for you to share a little bit about that story. When did you become aware that you were more than just this human?
Yeah. It was probably back in, I think, 2009. And I've always been a lucid dreamer since I was a child. So to me, that seemed very normal, that I would be aware that I was dreaming at night, and that I would, be able to consciously do things that I couldn't do in the real world, or in the 3D world, whether it's real or not. That's stuff for debate. So I would have this whole other life basically when I would go to sleep at night. It was very exciting. And it wasn't until many years later that I came across this book on astral dynamics, and I started practicing these exercises of learning how to project out of my body from a waking state. And so immediately I had an out-of-body experience. And so that really, woke me up to realizing I was not just what I thought I was, and this life wasn't just what I thought it was. So, of course, then when you kind of have that first experience of something, you start diving into everything spiritual, right? You start reading everything. So I did that, and I started to meditate. And the very first time I sat down and meditate, I had this massive flash of white light with a surge of energy. And I was just like, okay, this is where it's at. Like nothing else. This is my focus. This is who I am. This was more real to me than anything else I was doing. My job, everything seemed so meaningless. Like I was just going through the motions of life, so everything's just started to fall away. And I started actually toning, from really quickly. And it was through toning that my physical body had the awakening. So I was meditating and I was having some experiences, but my physical body, it was through the toning, I had that Kundalini charge that went up my body. And the first time that happened, and this was all within, a couple months, it happened very quickly. But it's the first day of toning, I had sounds playing in my ears. My feet were numb, and I could barely walk after I did 15 minutes of toning. And because the energy was so, the electromagnetic energy was so strong that there was so much tingling. And for about 4 or 5 weeks, I was doing toning every day, that I went through this massive detox. I was pretty much almost like I would vomit probably once a week,
Oh, wow.
because there was just so much energy moving through my body. I literally stopped eating meat right away. I just couldn't even do it. And it wasn't that I chose it. I just didn't resonate with me. Like I didn't even want it. Like when I would eat it, it would taste like cardboard. So it was just, so it was an effort, it was after a while, I was like, okay, well, I guess I'm a vegetarian now, so yeah, it was really strong and powerful. And from there, it was just like, that's all that mattered, right? It's like, once you awaken and you realize your true nature, it's like, it's such a relief. It's like, oh yes, thank you. Like I knew I was so much more than this. And so that just becomes your true north. And so, yeah, then I moved to the mountains literally, and I meditated for like 3 years, like just a few hours a day. And that was my focus. So yeah, and I worked a lot on the emotional body at that point, which thank God I did, because I find a lot of, and the emotional body, like we said, is about feeling, right? It's about being able to feel the body without, from that neutral state, without the drama. Because I see a lot of people still, like even light workers in the community and, really, influential people, and they still will fall into drama. They'll still fall into their patterns, because they still haven't, really gone into their emotional, patterns and the emotional body and process that. And so there's a lot of bypassing happening, still, and it's very challenging. So if you don't really get that anchor of knowing how to feel in your body, and really then it's gonna you're gonna have to face it head on at some point.
Yeah.
There's no skipping it, right? You may not pass go into higher states without that skill, and without that that acknowledgement of everything that's happening in your field. So yeah, that's kind of in a nutshell. I don't even know where I went with that, but
so you pick up and you move to the mountains.
I did.
What is your family and your friends saying at this point? Are they like, what is going on with her?
Yeah, and this was not now, right? So now it's much easier. There's so many more people awake, but then it was like nobody, you couldn't just hop on the internet and find a group of awakened people. It was much more challenging then. They didn't say much. They're like, oh, you're meditating, and oh, that's great, but and I would share things with them, but it was just like, over the head, and just never really landed. But my family was always, independent. Like we lived in different states, so it wasn't like I was really close knit to, like, had a lot of influence of my past. I sort of began to let go of that attachment of family. So, I mean, I would still be with them and love them, but I didn't have that connection of past, or connection with all the strings of, what family members, can often do with us. So it was a very freeing experience of letting go of all of that. So even when my father passed, about 4 years ago now, I had no emotional, reaction to it. I was very neutral, which kind of surprised me. And it wasn't that I didn't care, that I didn't love him. It was just a complete space of neutrality, and I was totally okay with it and totally honored him. And so it was a beautiful acknowledgement to be in that space, and through that experience of having a parent pass away. So it's just it's so freeing when you get to that place where you let go of the attachments. And you can just view from, everything's transitory, nothing's permanent. And when you honor that, it's magical. Yeah.
So what modalities started coming forth for you at that point? What types of abilities and things, or where was your calling leading you?
Yeah. Well, I was hearing a lot of voices at that time, and I was doing a lot of meditating. And it's interesting because I was a singer before, one of my stages of my life, I was a singer. And so I was and now I do a lot of toning, and I will connect in and just sort of channel. But in the beginning, I would hear a voice if I was meditating, and ironically, it's your own voice, right? Like it's literally, and it was literally clairaudience. So in the beginning, I thought, okay, this is what channeling is, and I thought, oh, it's just this voice that comes in. And so I didn't actually like use any gifts for a long time, because it never really progressed. And I didn't realize that, oh, channeling is really more about an impression. It's much softer. It's more transcendental. So I didn't actually start using any gifts till many years later. So I was always like working on myself. I was meditating, processing emotions, clearing my beliefs, but I didn't actually really step into full-on service till much later. I mean, I was doing energy work with people. I do this thing where I give a unity bubble transmission, and which is just, it's a field that has it encompasses all the higher dimensional frequencies that we're all trying to embody, and so it just releases densities in the field like automatically. So I was doing things like that, but it was more on the side. I didn't really make it a profession. So it wasn't until probably, I don't know, 4 years ago that I really started to be more public and start doing sessions and such. And it's interesting because it's in the process where you actually learn your gifts, right? Like it's in the doing, it's because if we wait for our gifts, if we say, oh, well, I don't have any gifts, I don't know what I could offer. If you say that, you're never going to step into it, right? Like how are you going to discover them? So it's literally when I first was sitting with someone, and I was like, well, let me just try this, and I would, try some modalities, and I would hit things. Like I was seeing things in her body, and I could feel them in the tones and the vibration. I was like, oh, okay, I can do that. But if I had never tried it, I never would have known. So, it really you have to step into something. You have to take an action. You have to physically try to do something. And then when you're doing it, you may feel like, oh, well, maybe I'll do it this way a little bit, or maybe I'll change it and do this. And then before you know it, you find something that you're capable of. And then you're like, oh, well, I didn't know I could do that. So it's really the path of discovery. It's really, when you step into it and you actually try things. So constantly trying new things is, to me, how I uncovered a lot of it. Because if I don't do anything, I'm never gonna find it. So as the more and more I step into service, look who wants hugs.
Yeah, he's like
so
the energy of these calls every time. He's got to come in here and be like, oh, I want to be in here too.
Me. Yeah. Yeah, so cute. Yeah, so it's in the service you discovered, and that's what really you get this exponential growth from it, because you're discovering as you're giving. And what better way, right? What better way to do that? So yeah, it's lots of fun too, discovering your gifts.
Oh, absolutely. And you have to be open to anything that comes your way.
Yeah. We have a lot of preconceived ideas about what our gifts are. We look at other people and we want to compare, but you just got to do you, right? And that's going to be maybe really woo-woo and different, and that's okay, because we're all going to be different. And it's only woo and different now because we've all conformed to what we think is normal, right? But is it really? Yeah.
So I want to go back to your astral travel, because that's fascinating to me. I've never experienced that. So what happens when you, first of all, how do you get yourself into that state, and where do you go, and what do you see, and who do you communicate with?
Yeah. It's funny because everyone gets really excited about astral travel and lucid dreaming. And I always tell people, it's always just another experience, right? So a lot of people say, oh, I want to practice lucid dreaming, I want to do this. And you're just having another experience in a different dimension, just like you are here. So basically, you can do anything you want. Like you can go anywhere, and you're basically just completely, and often what I would do is, when I become lucid, to verify that I'm dreaming, because sometimes it's challenging because it's so real, right? Is I would look at my physical body in that when I wake up in a dream, and I'm like, wait a minute, am I dreaming? And I'll look at my physical body, because you don't have a physical body in the astral realm, right? It's a projection, it's an illusion. So when you try to look at your body, you will find that it will start to morph, or it will start to disintegrate. You can only hold that illusion for a very short period of time, like a few seconds. And then, like, if you look at your hands will start to melt and right in front of you. And then it's like, okay, yeah, I'm dreaming. Or I look down at my legs. Oh, wait a minute, I don't have any legs. You're dreaming, because it's all, illusion, right? It's only real here. So, and then, you go through stages where you would fly a lot, right? So you learn how to fly, and you're like, flying where I can fly this, I can do this, I can go through walls, I can, and so you start to get familiar with, what is a projection and what is not. And so there's all different types of dreams of, when you become lucid, you can have a learning dream, you can have a processing dream, you can have a dream where you're looking at your subconscious. I've had dreams where I'm actually in another dimension and I'm with other beings and I'm on spaceships, helping make tactical decisions on things. There's a whole array of things that can happen. But it's exciting at first, but after a while, honestly, it gets like old, just like anything else. It's like, oh, okay, I'm lucid again. So now what? I'm dreaming. Now what do I want to do? What can I do that's for my best and highest? Because after a while, you don't even fly anymore. You stop flying, because even that's like, well, I don't really need to fly, because really all I'm doing is projecting an illusion of a body through space that doesn't even exist. And yet I'm holding all this energy to try to keep my body flying when I can just travel as light, so eventually I would just start traveling as light, or, in other modalities, or just instantly being somewhere else. So you experiment in the astral realm of what you're possible of, because it is generally a reflection of what is actually possible here, right? Because we know anything's possible here. In this ascension cycle, we have the opportunity to embody all of ourselves, all of our entirety. So there's no limits to where we can go. So it's just helping process the subconscious mind of limiting beliefs when you get to experience that in the astral realm. But it's, again, just an experience. It's just another tool, right? It doesn't mean that if you're not doing it, that you're any less than or whatever. It's just some people chose different tools to come in to on their journey for this lifetime. It doesn't mean anything, really. It's just like if one person feels an energy and the other person doesn't mean that energy is not there. It's just they didn't actually feel it. So but yeah, it can be fun though. But
do you think that soul fragments of yourself, though, like when you're going up to a spaceship, is that another aspect of you that's in that existence carrying out that job or that task? Or what do you think that is?
Yeah, well, I've considered that, because that's happened to me, not so much lately, but my earlier years, I would do that often, that I was actually existed in another, in another space as an avatar or avatar here. And then I'm actually just tapping into that existence while I'm in the astral realm. But, ultimately it doesn't really matter, right? Because ultimately all I need to do is focus on here and now and what I'm experiencing now. So, that is possible, but I think the more we just focus on embodiment here and bringing all of our aspects into this body, that's really what we're meant to do. That's really what we're meant to do now.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. That is fascinating though.
Yeah, it is. And it helps you realize, wow, there's so much more to this, reality that we perceive.
Oh yeah, and so much more is unfolding. Now, do you ever get glimpses or channels on what's to come, like in the coming year? Do you ever get information like that, or do you keep more centered in the now?
I generally stay in the now. Occasionally I've gotten little snippets here. They tend to like share with me you're on a need to know basis. They don't, because ultimately that doesn't really serve me to know what's going to happen in the future. But I did have a few messages from them a couple of years ago that many people will die. And I didn't know.
People have said that.
And I didn't know really what that was going to entail, but yeah. So I was, kind of aware that, in some shape, way, or form that there was going to be sort of a shift in, a lot of people's realities. So, which is ultimately what it is, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I've had several people say they've gotten the same type of information, and,
and I do feel that hasn't actually started yet. I mean, to some degree, up. Yeah. There's going to be a lot more of that.
Yeah.
A lot more of that. That's what I'm hearing. Yeah.
And I feel kind of also like we're in some sort of us as light workers, for lack of a better term, are in some sort of like a holding pattern or a stasis right now, that at some point when these things kick in, we're going to have to be ready to roll. Yeah. Yeah. Do you get that sense at all?
Yeah, I get the feeling that we're going to be called to step into more of really offering ourselves in support of others, because that's what we're here for. Because there's, along with that shift, as you know, there's going to be a lot of drama, a lot of confusion, a lot of pain. And so we're just here to share ourselves, right? It's not that we really have to do anything, because, being yourself is of service, right? Just sharing who you are is being of service.
Absolutely. And that's another one that we've overcomplicated as well.
Yes. We always think, oh, what's my purpose? I have to do this. What am I here? What am I meant to do? And it's like, let all that go, because your higher self doesn't care how you show up to do your service. You can have it manifest in so many different ways. It really doesn't, that's not what's important. What's important is that you are being yourself, and how you actually do it is your choice. It's like your higher self's never going to tell you what to do.
Yeah.
We wanted to. You're like, oh, just tell me what to do. But it's more of just
figure out the puzzle.
Yeah. It's like, well, what do you want to do? Yeah. So yeah, it's just relax and just be yourself and take the pressure off.
Yeah. And that leading by example, is a big one. Just live your life the very best that you can. And, that whole, don't focus on fixing others, just focus on yourself, do the inner work. And then that in itself somehow rubs off on people. And they're like, oh, I want some of that.
Yeah. Well, you become the mirror for them, right? Because your energy and your vibration, and when they're in your space or connected with you, it's going to naturally affect their vibration. So it's, just being here, just you existing here in this dimension is, of service. The more you service yourself, and the more you, raise your own vibration, the more work you do on yourself, you're doing it for everyone, because you're helping all those people around you, every person you connect with, your friends, your family, the space around you. You go out into the forest and meditate. It's like, everything you do, it's like you can't go wrong. You can't go wrong with wherever your direction takes you when you have that intention of being of service and being of the the highest and best for all. So yeah, just enjoy it. I feel like this whole time, like this whole solstice, it's like there's such an incredible amount of peace and joy coming in. It's just like this it's like, okay, we're here. It's like the door's open. Let's just start creating whatever we want to create now, and just relax. Enjoy the rest of your journey. Enjoy the processes that are remaining for you, or whatever it is, and just let yourself be as you are.
Beautiful, beautiful. And we had talked before we got on here too, that you thought you might give us a little treat for the solstice too.
Yeah. Well, I feel like, with the solstice, there's, it's the darkest night of the year, right? So it's that greatest opportunity to really process your shadow and all the densities that you're holding on to. It's like some of the greatest shifts I've heard of people over the years happen during a solstice, and particularly the winter solstice, because it's so revealing to, these, lower vibration energies. So yeah, I feel like there's a great opportunity for us to join in together and really process whatever's being held in our field, because there's a lot of grace right now. There's a lot of grace to move that for you. And if you just have that intention and without resistance, and there's a lot of presence right now coming in, really wanting to assist and just helping us let go of the whole year. The solstice it's the end of the solar cycle for Gaia, and it's the beginning. So, it's full circle, and it's the micro of the universe cycle, and it's the macro for us, right? Of our cycles. So a lot of potential to just let go and release what's no longer serving us, and then just really bringing in the energy of our higher selves. I feel like is really what would be the best thing with these energies that are being offered. It's really, I think it can be really powerful. So we can drop into that now. We feel
absolutely, and I believe it'll be good anytime, not just now.
Yeah,
for
exactly.
People that watch this in the future too.
Yes, it's always a good thing to be doing.
Yes,
every day. It's the more you do it, the you work through the layers. And it's often, when you get together in a group, right, it can feel more palpable. And sometimes just the feeling of it, just the acknowledgement of it sometimes. And sometimes we need that, right? We need the acknowledgement. Oh, yes, I felt it. So then it's like, oh, okay, yes, I know I let go of something. And then it's like, then the mind gets on board. And then we're like, yeah, I want to do that again. And so it's really good to this time of year to do those things, because it's, you can feel it a lot better. You can feel it a lot more intensely right now. So yeah, let's feel into that, because I feel like there's a lot of energy that wants to come in to help us really, really just let go and expand together. So we'll just relax into our bodies and take some deep breaths here. Just some deep breaths into our heart. Just letting go of anything in the mind, letting go of the conversation that we've just had, and really allowing ourselves to be here in this moment, to fully be here, fully be present in our bodies. Just continuing to take some deep breaths. Letting go of any to-do list, situations, events. Just fully feeling your body, feeling the sensations in your body. Breathing into those sensations. Breathing into your heart. And on the exhale, allow your heart to expand and expand and expand. And always remembering to breathe into the back of the heart. We often will breathe into the front and we forget to breathe into the back. The back is where we receive, we give from the front, and we're always giving, and we never really fully allow ourselves to completely receive. So back to that nurturing ourselves, just really open up the back and allow ourselves to receive. Just breathing into the heart, allowing it to expand bigger and bigger, past the room, past your building, past all of Gaia, past all the way out to the edge of the universe, because you are the universe. You are the center of your universe. Just feeling that expansion. Continuing to breathe and just noticing your breath, noticing if it's quickened or gotten less. Just noticing, not changing it. And let's just open up our crown chakra. And we're going to open up our crowns to our higher self. We're not opening up to anything else. We're not opening up to, outside energies, or we're just going to open it up to ourselves, because that's what we're doing here. We're embodying our higher selves, our godlike selves. We are becoming God-like in our human vessel. So we're going to open up our crown. We're staying in our own channel. We're just connecting up to your higher self, to your oversoul, and just breathing in that channel, just breathing up. Imagine it going all the way up from the top of your head, all the way up to the soul of the universe. Almost like a string of light, and you're the pearl on that string. And that string goes all the way to the soul of the universe, all the way down to Gaia. Just breathing up, allowing your energy to come into your body. So with every breath, you're breathing up your own channel, and exhale, bringing the energy down. You can see it as like a golden white light. That's how I generally see it. And with every exhale, that energy is expanding out through all the way out to every single cell in your body, to your fingertips, to your toes. Really breathing that into your body. And really asking your higher self to come into your body, commanding your higher self to come into your body here and now. And just breathing into that. Now that we're in this space, we're connected with our higher selves. We're going to just feel into our bodies. We're going to feel to what's present in our physical body. You can even do a scan from the top of your head if you're not noticing anything right off the bat, and just feeling what's there. And you may not feel anything. There could be numbness, right? There could be nothing. It could feel like nothing. And it just means that you haven't, really tapped into the sensations that can be held there, because there's always sensation. There's always sensation in the physical body. So just breathing in, allowing whatever sensations may want to arise. And there's lots of beings around us, lots of angelics actually, and they are here to really help us release what is no longer serving us. So you can feel the sensation. You can even think of a event or circumstance where you might have gotten emotional, and you can perhaps bring that back up if you choose. So you can feel that in your body, but then let it go and just allow the sensation. If you're not noticing anything, you can always just focus in on your heart. You can focus in on your breath. Just commanding, I release all that is no longer serving me in this moment. We're just being held. There's like almost being held like in a chalice. Staying connected with your higher self, breathing in your higher self, allowing all that energy to come into the spaces and places that you're creating by feeling sensation and letting them go. As we let go, we create more space for our higher self to come in, more space for embodiment, and our fields get larger and larger. Continuing to breathe. Remembering to give yourself permission to fully be here, to fully love yourself. Because this is your home, wherever you are in the universe, wherever you've incarnated, that's your home. Wherever you are is your home. And right now, your home is in this body. You are meant to be here. It is safe to be here. It is safe to be you. So giving yourself permission, full permission to be here and to fully love yourself. Because all these beings around us, they're here just to remind us that we are love, right? This is our true nature. This is who we are. With all these beautiful energies that are here for the solstice, they're all here to help us move to the next cycle, to move to the next layer of our embodiment, right? The gateways are open, the doors are opening to a whole new level of the spiral that we're are continuing to vibrate as we move up and move up in vibration. I release all that is no longer serving me here and now. I release all that is no longer serving me here and now. I release all that is no longer serving me here and now. And just allow grace to take that away. Going back to source, back where it came from. All our densities and patterns, they were all put there out of love. We put them out of love to protect ourselves. And just taking another few breaths, connecting up to your higher self, up to your oversoul, up through that channel. Breathing that in and breathing it down, exhale down, all the way coming down through your body, through all the new spaces that we've created. Feeling the expansion, more of your higher self coming into your body, more embodiment. And really breathing out all the way down into the center of Gaia. Down through your feet and using whatever grounding technique you like to use. I personally love to just see a chain, a big thick chain of white light, and it just drops down and whips around the center of Gaia, and it's just instant grounding. So letting all that sink down into the earth and then breathing that back up through our channel, all the way up our spine, and back all the way up to the cosmos, and just really grounding in all this new vibration of our higher self, all this new embodiment, and letting this be our new foundation, our new vibrational point from this point on. We exist in this space from now on. We stay in this space. This is how we vibrate moving forward. This is how we exist from now on. We stay in this space. This is our new level of vibration. And just allowing all these energies to come in as much as they can to the extent of which your body is able to hold this new vibration. And just taking some deep breaths. And just honoring yourself, having gratitude for the process, gratitude for your higher self, gratitude for being here, gratitude for this opportunity to be here in a human body and to embody our true selves in this combination is such a gift. Thank you, thank you, thank you. So you can open your eyes whenever you feel complete.
That was a beautiful journey. Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, very blissed out right now.
Yeah. Well, that's you, right? It's like that's your bliss. Like that's our natural state is true love and joy. So really it's like, you're just, you know, when you get blissed out like that, it's like, wow, well, I'm just being me. If you think about it that way, it's like, well, I'm just being me because I'm connecting to the true essence of who I am, and I'm bringing it into my body, and it feels so good, and it feels so free, and so my body feels good, and it's just like, well, yeah, you're just being yourself in a human suit. So yeah, so it's all you, right? Yeah, so you can give yourself credit for that.
Yay. Oh, this has been wonderful. But before we leave, let's play a little game.
Okay, perfect.
I got my soul script deck here that I created, and I still haven't printed for anybody interested yet. So
I love that name, Soul Script. That's
well,
so
these were I still do them for people. I tie in my photography along with a channeled message from a person's higher self to create a beautiful piece of artwork that the person can interact with and activate themselves through it.
Yeah.
So the soul script, this is kind of like cards now that are kind of an offshoot of that. And they're purposefully without a book, because I want people to learn to use their own intuition, because everybody has it and nobody's using it.
Exactly.
Well, some of us are.
Yeah.
But you know, I want to encourage people to do that. So I'm going to pull one for the solstice. Let's set the intention for a beautiful message for this solstice. And I'm going to let you interpret it with your intuition.
Oh, look at that.
Transformation.
Oh, so perfect. That's so beautiful. You know, I love the infinity symbol that is just over the heart space. There's so much in this one. It feels, you know, it's like the tree, right? Where the tree of life, and it's our heart. And really it's the heart space that allows that light to come through. And that's the infinity, right? That's like just what we were saying. It's, you know, your higher self, your true nature. And it's living from that heart space and allowing yourself to follow your bliss. Like we were saying, it's so blissful, like the butterflies. You know, there's such joy in this card. It's such a joy, and there's so much light.
It's the heaven on earth that we create.
Yeah.
In here.
Yeah, because ultimately it doesn't, you know, it doesn't matter what your outside world is, right? Like you could be, you know, in the most uncomfortable place, but you can find that right there, that heart and that light anywhere you are, because you're, you know, as we were saying, your home is wherever you are. Your home is wherever you are, and your heart is that. So that's so perfect for today. So perfect.
And I feel like this is where we're being called to live in that space.
Yeah.
All the time.
Yeah.
Okay, let's do one more before we go here. Let's do one for 2023. How does that sound?
Ooh, okay. Yeah, I like that.
What intention should we set, Avalina, for this card for 2023?
How about what is going to be the best for us to focus on personally, each of us to focus on personally for our own transformation, for our own journey? Like, what's the message for the personal journey? Because it's the personal that is where we have to start with, you know, and then the collective, it contributes, like it ripples out to the collective. So let's look at that.
I like that. Okay. joy.
Oh, look at that. Okay, I can't really see. Okay.
It's just a lot of energy,
Yeah, and what
and
I
light.
see in that is a lot of bubbles. And to me,
Mm.
that's what joy feels like. Like when I feel joy in my body, it feels very bubbly. It's almost like champagne, right? Like it has that bubbly kind of energy.
Yeah.
And it's so ironic that, you know, what we were talking about, the solstice, like there's so much joy and peace. And because that's what's available, it's like the doors, like we're, you know, the past like year, the past 2 years, you know, we're sort of like looking at our shadows, looking at the, you know, the collective, and we're sort of, you know, digging up, you know, the shadow, and then, you know, the doors are open. So it's like moving into 2023, it's like the doors are open. We can create whatever we want. And how do we create whatever we want? We do it through the energy of joy, right? Because that's joy and creation are really very intertwined, right? So it's so freeing. Like I just feel like, you know, with her arms open, it's just like that's what 2023 feels like to me. Completely free. And so I think, you know, if this is our message for what we should focus on a personal level, I think it's like we were saying, following the joy, following what excites you, right? And also acknowledging that whatever excites you is also going to have fear, right? Because generally what excites us, there's always fear attached to it, right? Because that's where our most transformation is, right? So acknowledging the joy in what you're creating, and allowing that excitement to be there, and allowing the fear to be there, but doing it anyway, you know, because that's where you're going to find more joy. Yeah.
Oh, so perfect. See, I could not have written that in a book.
No.
You know, it's so perfect.
Yeah. And it's beautiful to get so many different people's interpretation of it, because then it just sort of adds to the energy of it all, right? Rather than limiting it to just one interpretation, you know, because when you put words to it, you're really defining it, right? You're putting it in a box, you're labeling it, you're like, this is what this card means. Well, it could mean so much more, right? So you block out all the potential. So I love that you're doing it that way. That's so perfect. And it's exactly how we're stepping into creation, right? It's exactly how we're creating now. We're creating in ways that that have no borders, right? It's like when you do a painting now, like the way we create now is before you'd have a canvas and it would have borders, and like, okay, I'm going to paint this painting and this is the space I have. Well, now you just start painting and you let the borders form around you. Like why limit it? And then once you finish painting, you're like, oh, I think it's complete. So now I'll frame this part and let this be the border, you know, of what I created. So it's like, it's almost like a reversal of how we create. You know, you're stepping into the openness, and that can be a little bit scary and unfamiliar, but that's what's exciting. You know, that's what's going to excite us. That's what's going to bring us joy. Yeah,
absolutely. So before we go, share with everybody, do you have anything going on right now that you want to let people know about? And I will post all your contact info below as well, but I'd love for you to share anything you got going.
Actually, I do. I just started a course on connecting with your higher self. And it's really about, you know, using all the different modalities to connect with your higher self, you know, because it's not just about channeling. It's about using your life experiences. It's about using your emotions, because our higher self is talking to us all the time. So it's really fun. And it just started, and I just had the first class of it. And if anyone wants to join that, the first class is recorded, but the transmission portion of it, which I'm offering a unity bubble in that transmission, I will have an encore transmission of that. So if anyone wants to still join, they will not miss, you know, they won't miss anything, because I'll do the transmission again, and then the talking part will be on a replay. So if anyone wants to join that, that's kind of what I'm in the moment right now, and I always, you know, offer sessions as well. I can send you the link to that if you want to post it, and they can, you know, look at it. There's a description of the course, and, you know, you can also combine it with a session it's pretty heavily discounted. I did it through the Carrie Murphy show. So, so that's what I'm offering now. And my website is creatoressence.com. So you can also just go there and see it. Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you, my dear. I
Thank
so
you.
appreciate you showing up on this wonderful holiday.
Yes, this is my favorite day. Christmas, it's all about the solstice, right? It's all about the energy, right? I mean, Christmas is beautiful and it's fun and it's part of the holiday season and that's always joyous. But the solstice is just like that's where you like really get to transform.
Absolutely.
So yeah. So I'm so
Absolutely.
honored to be able to spend it with you and anyone who's listening. So yeah.
And I'm grateful for you sharing your gifts with all of us.
Yeah. Thank you.
All
You're so
right.
welcome. Yes.
All right. Well, thanks everybody for joining us, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
Bye.